Well, hi, I'm here with Dr. Casey. And Dr. Casey, I'm very grateful that we have this opportunity to chat because you, like so many other doctors, have somewhat been lied to or fooled. I don't know what the word is, but
Yeah,
let's start.
misled,
Yeah, misled is
misled for
probably the
sure.
best one. You
Misled.
back in June of 2025, you clicked on an ad and you looked at working with a group called STEMWave on was it a 60 or 90-day trial that you signed up for?
Well, back up a little bit. Excuse me. It started, I guess, back in May that I saw these ads and inquired about it. And once you inquire, that's it. They're on you, which I understand. But it's call after call, email. Want to know your interest. And at first, it was a 60-day trial. Okay.
Hmm.
And so they go through the whole thing, and then they're want you to apply for the financing and see if you're even able to get financed and whatnot. And then once they come back for financing, they say, "Well, hey, I tell you what, good news. We just started something where we're going to actually give you 90 days instead of 60 days, this, that, and the other." I'm thinking, wow, okay, great. Uh, Lo and behold, I find out that they offered and did the same thing to another, uh, uh, friend of mine who purchased the machine as well, told them the same thing. So I thought I was getting a special deal here with 90 days. There's something they started offering. Okay. They
Yeah.
made it look like it was a big deal. But all in all, yeah, that's where it started. So I'd say I signed up in May. The machine was shipped to me in June, unbeknownst to me. And
Hmm.
then my first training with STEMWave wasn't until July 11th. And in the meantime, in between, that time period, when I called STEMWave and I said, "Hey," because I got a text message from FedEx saying, "Hey," and an email saying, "Hey, you have a shipment that's going to be drop shipped to you." And I'm thinking, what in the world could this be? And what did I
Hmm.
order? And I look and it says it's like 200 something pounds. I'm thinking, could this be the machine? And lo and behold, it shows up at my doorstep one day, and I send Eddie, who was my contact with
I got
STEMwave.
the email up. I pulled it
Uh,
up. Can you see that?
yes,
All
yes, that's
right.
it.
So it
Yep,
basically said, "Hey, Eddie, I didn't want the device until after my training." And
yes,
he's like, "Oh, our bad." He says it right
right,
here. The delivery date was never officially confirmed and we are supposed to be discussed, but boom, boom, right? So you
yeah.
wanted to go to the training in Florida before you actually received the device. Unbeknownst to you, that clock starts ticking as soon as they send it to you, correct?
Exactly. And my thing was, and speaking to them, they said, "Well, hey, we're going to get you financed. We're going to make sure everything is in order so that when you do go to the train, if there's something you want to do, boom, it's ready to go, and we'll
Yeah.
have it shipped to you, right away." Okay,
Okay,
that sounded
good.
fair enough.
Fine.
Right.
So he said, delivery date was approved in error. That one's on me for not catching it. All right, Eddie, thanks. And then yeah, so then August 25th, you go to the training. What happens at the training? You hear during the training that I heard that they said you couldn't use it over the spine or lungs. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you were
Yeah.
like, "Well, I'm a chiropractor, so what am I going to do?" It's like
Right.
extremity only. And you didn't even unbox it. Is that correct?
That's correct. Well, I didn't. It
At
was.
this
It came
time.
in. This time, it came in a crate that FedEx. It was all screwed together, and no, it was not unboxed anything else because it was just sitting there, and didn't use it because in the meantime, when I told Eddie about this, about me getting the machine earlier, as according to the emails and whatnot, and we jumped on a call. He said, "Look, man, this is they made it out to be a positive, which I thought was a negative." Because he said, "Look, go ahead and pull anybody you want in there, your friends, family, whatever. Try it on them. Try it. Let's see how it works. Let's get a handle for how it's used." And I said, "Eddie, I'm not comfortable with that, man." I said, "I have this $60,000 machine here that's electricity and whatever else that's going on. I don't know
Mhm.
what I'm doing. I
Yeah,
don't
I
feel
don't want to
comfortable
use it.
doing that."
I don't want to use it on anybody until I'm
Sure,
actually trained. So you
sure.
go to the event, you come back from Orlando, your event. Unfortunately, you got sick. You were in the hospital for a little bit. I'm so sorry to hear that. My heart goes out to you on that. You're not working. You're out of work for 2 weeks. And then you write this to him in August and says, "Listen, I'm not going to take the device. Haven't even unboxed it. Please make arrangements to have it picked up." Correct? It's
Correct.
brand new, never used.
Never used. Not
Not
one
one
click.
pulse.
Not one.
Okay.
Not one.
And then what do they say?
Well, he comes back and says, "Well, man, it's not." So he says, you didn't require all the fulfillments, in order for you to return the machine." I said, "Fulfillments? What do you mean?" He says, "Well, we need at least 50,000 clicks. You need to have this many videos, watch this." I said, "You know what? Got you. So I can get you clicks if that's what all you need is clicks, because I
Yeah.
watched the videos. I did as much as I could as far as listening to the training videos and whatnot. But look, I've got a practice that I'm trying to build. I don't have time to sit here and watch all videos on StemWave, but I'm
Yeah.
trying to, build a practice that's from the ground up." And I just felt like, that part was not discussed in detail with me. It was made for me to, to feel like, hey, in 90 days, if you don't want it, no questions asked. In fact, the advertisements that come out that you see these videos, hey, practitioners, free 90 days, no upfront cost to you, no this, no that. And so I thought, by all means,
You
that
believed it. You
I believed
truth
it.
in advertising is something that we should all live by.
And because of my health issues, because of the fact that I'm starting a new practice, and I'm like, listen, I can't devote, 100% of my energy and time to STEM wave like they want you to. I've got to survive by, going out and getting other patients to try and
Sure.
utilize this device as well. But I'm not trained on it, so I'm not going to use it. And so, coming back from Orlando, I'm trained on it, but I'm still like, okay, where do I go from here? And I said, you know what, this is just not going to work for my practice. And so I did not use it one time thinking that I'm doing the ethically the right thing by not giving them back a used machine, because in their
Correct.
in
Yeah.
their in their correspondence with me, they say, well, we get back a used machine, this, that, and the other. It's hard to resell. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to do the right thing and not use this at all. So I have a brand new machine that was just drop shipped to me, and didn't open it, didn't do nothing, didn't even plug it in. Okay, everything was in its boxes, and I told him that. He says, well, no, you have to use it. You
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
have
What
50,000
you
clicks.
what you signed, Doc, was a forced training model
Yeah.
agreement, right? And if you don't do what's in that agreement, if you don't read the fine print, then they force you to into the closure of that, right? Which is
Yeah.
uh beneficial for their business and not for us as, mom and pop chiropractors. So
Right.
you even said this is sketchy, this isn't how I work, right? And even though you were with that 90-day trial, StemWave started deducting $1,400 a month from you. Is that correct? And they've
Correct.
done that ever since September, October, November, December, January, February, probably coming on March. Not to mention you haven't been able to work because you've been in you just got out of the hospital again, didn't you?
Yeah, that's why it's in my voice. I apologize, but
No, no,
just
don't
got out from
apologize.
a week and go good old Ochsner, and like I said, with my health issues and everything that's going on, I just don't see that I'm going to be able to continue.
They're
Um,
going to
you
force
know,
you into bankruptcy.
oh, there's no doubt. This I
And
can't
and then
recover
what
from this.
happens then? Do they go after you personally or no?
Yes, yes,
They've already said that?
Well, I've talked to the bank and this morning just to find out my options, and of course, the bank is listens to my story and wants documentation and whatnot. But they said that eventually, that yeah, I'll surrender the equipment, but then I'll be sued for the remaining whatever the equipment's worth.
Yeah.
I'll be sued for the remaining of that portion. Which listen, with my health issues, me not be able to work the next few weeks as a
Yeah.
chiropractor. Um, I don't know what's going to happen. So I have a family, two kids, and this has put
Uh-huh.
me in a position where uh, really, it's a bad position. And
Did
I've
they
I've,
did
I've
they
emailed. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
let's can you see this one?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So how picking the wrong device can be a costly mistake, right?
Yeah.
That device, StemWave, is buying is 10,500 in Turkey. Okay. They're
Wow.
marking it up 600%. You go to sell it, it's depreciated, even out of not even out of the box, it's still depreciated close to 40%. Um,
Wow.
Compared to an average car, it might be 18 to 20%, right? So they try to say they're just like us, right? I don't know if you can see what they say here,
Sure.
but it says, "Oh yeah, this unit uses the same system as Softwave." Well, that's baloney. We're built in Germany. They're a knockoff device out of Turkey. Primary difference between StemWave and Softwave is that they say they're focused, right? Which is more painful. Let's not even talk
Yeah.
about the one person you used it on, right? Never came back on his knee.
Well, that was a colleague's husband of mine,
Mhm.
who in that time period where when I got back from training and everything else, or before training, and he said, "Hey, use it." And that's when he told me about the clicks that I had to have
Mhm.
50,000 clicks. So this is before training, or is it after training?
Yeah, yeah.
Either way, I
So
used it, and so I used it on the guy's knee, and of course, he didn't have a good outcome, and he said it hurt worse than before.
yeah, and again, I think you paid 65 with the marketing at 75. I want to show you, like, there are serious risks of being electrocuted with this. This is a sign inside that says, "Warning: Do not touch this device unless you are authorized." Okay, great. Danger: high voltage. EEO, and it shows right there. The first three payments are at 99, and then 4 through 72 are $1,600. Okay, so the price of the equipment is 75,000. When you do all the ads on this, right? When you multiply it, it comes out to $110,000 because he picked the marketing. Thank God you didn't pick the marketing part.
No, my gosh, yeah,
So this guy's now on the hook for $110,000 because they sold his note to a bank. You saw it, right?
yeah, and that was something else they didn't disclose to me right away was what was going on. I'd say right away at all.
Yeah.
That it was being sold to the bank, and I'm just getting these emails, and then of course I'm being flooded with all these emails from StemWave. I mean, you could see the amount of emails I received in the first few weeks. It's just like you can't keep up. This
No,
is
no,
not this is not the way to go.
it's overwhelming. And let me tell
Yeah,
you, this is this is like a Yugo. You remember the Yugo, the car?
yeah, I
It
sure
was the
do.
worst car ever made. And finally they had sold 1,100 of them before our government pulled them off as saying unsafe. And I believe the same thing will happen with this company. I believe, as you can tell, and you lived through it, they are shady. And
Yeah.
they do things that they think they're so clever and bright that they hide stuff in fine print. Well, listen, we read the fine print, and here's what we're saying is like they're not even cleared. They're not even they don't have a 510 registration. They are trying to market themselves as come in registered as a electric massager. So, even the
Wow.
company Insular has taken the word shock out of all the user manuals unless you're electrocuted. So just so you know, um, but be careful because
Wow.
there's meshing inside that it lacks certain ground wires, so people are being shocked. And you have to, I don't know if they told you this, but you're supposed to unplug it for 30 minutes after using it before you can go in and change out the electrodes. Did you know that?
Did not. But
So
of
we've had
course,
a
I'm sure
couple,
they'll say, yeah,
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 we
of
have
course
a
they're gonna say
couple of
otherwise.
doctors, but look at this. This is a device that we took in on a trade and it was 3 months old. And look at the wear and tear and the burning that's happening, the corrosion and from the electrode. Um,
Unreal.
and so you can see it right here in this German testing center. So what's that showing is the fact that even it's there's a conductive from the handpiece and it can go up to 12 inches away and shock someone because it lacks certain safety features, and that's why it's not sold in the European Union. So,
Wow.
this is
But
just some of the things. This is what it looks like inside. And this one guy was like, I had so many issues. He had to do a $50,000 loss, right? He couldn't even sell it. So, I mean, that's just some of the things that we're looking at. There's like weak little pieces in there. And you know, I
well, I
just
appreciate you bringing that all to my attention. But look, and that's what bothers me most is that um, all this coming into light, now because they make it sound like it's just this big, wonderful machine that no risk, no danger to anything, and I do see the possibilities of injuring people if you're not properly trained on this, and that's why I didn't want to use it, to begin with.
Mhm.
But going back to the fine print and what you were saying, yes, I understand there's fine print in there, and I saw the fine print. And after it was, I say I saw the fine print after they told me about it. Okay, when I said, hey, I'm ready to return the machine. Well, did you meet all your criteria? And I said, wait, what are you talking about? And he said, well, it's in your contract. And I said, I've had numerous conversations with them about, listen, I'm a startup. If if I just say no, I can return it. It wasn't, and it wasn't beaten to my head, so to speak, that hey, you have to do these things in order to meet our qualifications to return it. And so once Eddie did tell me that, I'm still within my 90 days, right? So
Yeah.
I'm still within my 90 days. And I tell him, listen, I want to return it. And then the next thing was, well, did you send an email to a certain address? And I'm like, an email to a certain address. Well, I have to send an email to a certain address saying that I want to return it in order for it to qualify as me wanting to return. Well, I think that that window was maybe a few days
Hmm.
difference, but if I didn't send it to that right address, it wouldn't have mattered. I said that's where this is getting all sketchy. This is bullshit
Yeah.
because I've got my 50,000 clicks if that's what you want. I've seen all the videos. I've met all the little fine print requirements that you've had, and you're still forcing me into some kind of way of like, well, you do marketing. Well, if we did this, we do that. Well, how about another 90 days? Okay.
Yeah.
Because at this point, I had not used the machine because thinking I was doing the ethically right thing. And so they said, well, I'll tell you what, let's just restart everything over. After another 90 days, we'll see how it goes. And listen, I gave it effort. I really did
Hmm.
at the end of the day. But from either it working on some patients, not working on other patients. Patients don't like it because it's too loud. They don't like the way it feels from the intensity. Which I made sure that I was educated on how to treat patients appropriately. In fact, I had numerous conversations with another high level doctor that sells the equipment. He used the equipment, not sells it, but used it in his clinics.
Hmm.
And he gave me his rundown of his protocols, what he uses. And so, I didn't go into this thing blind. At the second 90 days, I really gave it an effort. And now that I'm like, hey, listen, I just got out of the hospital. I'm having health issues. I can't do what I used to do.
They didn't
I can't
care.
get
They're
out there and hit
taking
the street.
advantage of a
Done.
doctor who
Yep.
has health problems, who has a startup. They did this with Dr. Melissa. They did this with Dr. Phil. They did this with Dr. James. So I mean, there's a whole list of people that are finding out. And I believe the biggest mistake they can do is market a very unsafe and inferior device. That
Yeah.
eventually there's going to be so many people that come forward and raise their hand, and that's what we're looking for. And we want to
Yeah.
find other doctors who've been lied to, defrauded, misled, and let's see if we can find some more. That's what I say. Because
Yeah.
I think they're
Listen,
out there and they're embarrassed to come forward because they've been, I want to say, scam.
it is embarrassing because as doctors we hold ourselves to a higher standard. We shouldn't be. We want what's best for our patients. So anytime we can offer anything where we say, hey, listen, this would be great for patients, we want that to bring that into our clinics, and we want to give it a good shot. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And the fact that again, you promise these 90 days and it comes time for it to say, listen, for whatever reason it's not working for my clinic. Maybe I just don't like the way it looks. It's not working for my clinic.
It's
And you tell me
heavy. You
no,
can't, it's not mobile. All these
it's
different
not
things that you
mobile.
can look at it.
That's
And
right.
here's the worst part. God forbid someone does get injured. And I think it's just a matter of time. Your malpractice won't actually be able to cover it because they're
Out of my
using it
scope.
off label. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's registered as a massager. Okay. So Um, Dr. Casey, I really appreciate you. I mean, we're going to put this out there and we're going to see if we can help you, right? Get
Thank
out of
you. I
this
appreciate
bad
that.
deal. And you know that anything I can do moving forward, I'm here for you. And
Appreciate that.
so thank you so much.